Hi, it's DJ. Welcome to my channel. If you are new, please don't forget to subscribe. This channel, I normally do a lot of finance and career readings, and today I'm gonna, I just want to kind of chit chat, right? Because I do a lot of finance and career readings. I know a lot of you are in situations where you're at a job where you're not comfortable at and you're trying to find employment, or you're unemployed and been trying to find employment and it's just been hard. And today I just kind of want to share a little bit of my experience, because when I do my videos and I tell you that I completely understand what you're going through, I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really do understand. I'm going to give you a little bit of a history. We'll do other videos, with detail if you like. But since my 20s, I have been homeless with kids, lost my jobs due to either layoff, company closing, or moving. One of the jobs I had actually let me go because my ex-husband was stalking me and calling the office constantly and cussing out the people, and so they didn't want that drama there, and so they let me go. That was one of my jobs that I was actually in my 30s, believe it or not. And that led me to be homeless with 4 kids. We hear a lot of people talk about them being homeless, but when they say that, they're talking about when they're 15. Like, seriously, how is that relevant to today as a grown adult? What happened to you as a grown adult, right? Now, when I was 15, I had a son. I was a teen mom, but I was not homeless. I was kicked out, but I was not homeless. I actually went to stay with my son's father, and that's another video. But my journey as being homeless and being unemployed began when I was in my 20s. And it was just like one job I got let go because I was speaking Spanish with another coworker, which she didn't understand English, and so I was assisting her. My role at that time was in human resources, and I was hired because I do speak another language, and they wanted me to utilize those skills. But that was, I think, was an excuse just to let me go. And I did sue them. If you're going to hire me for a language, then you have to allow me to use it. I was actually assisting an employee with or a coworker, right, with something that had to do with benefits, and my manager didn't like that. So, and she didn't like that a lot of the employees would come to me because I did speak Spanish, and I was more approachable than she was. Even if they didn't speak Spanish and it was just an English speaking employee, they felt more comfortable coming to me, and my manager didn't like that, so I was let go for that. And that was in my 20s, my mid-20s. And then after that was like companies closed, big layoffs. And then, when I got a divorce from my ex-husband, he stalked me. He was very abusive, very controlling, and he was trying to take my kids away from me. And he figured since if I didn't have a job, he would be able to do that. At that time when we were going through the divorce, I actually got full custody of the kids. So, but it cost my job because he stalked me, like literally everywhere I went. Church, stores, schools for my kids, work, everywhere I went. And he did work, but he got off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so he had plenty of time to go and stalk me and ruin my life, which he tried to do, which then ended up, after that, I was in my 30s, that actually I ended up going back to him because I did end up being homeless, and I was sleeping in the car with the kids, and I would go park in my mom's driveway, and they would sleep in the house and I would sleep in the car. And you're probably wondering why. Well, my half-sister lived with my mom, and she's a horrible person, and she would still, and I just didn't need any more drama. And so I would let the kids sleep in the house and I slept in the car. When she would go with her friends during the day, I would go in the house and or if she went out at night, which is hardly ever, I would go in the house. She hated the fact that my mom wanted to be with me or do things with me. She hated that fact, and she was very jealous of me. And so she would make my life a living hell. So it was like living with my ex-husband all over again. Then my mom's husband, or my mom's husband at the time, didn't want us there anymore, and so then we ended up sleeping in the car. And I just, one day I was in church and I tried to get help from church, and the doors closed. Like, they didn't help me. Now, I was a faithful member. I'd been there for years, over 8 years. I would go to church faithfully. I was part of the youth group where I taught, from kindergarten to high school kids, and the doors got closed on me. And I know that you hear a lot of people talk about being homeless, not having a job. They don't tell you what they went through. They don't tell you the struggle. So I'm here to share that with you. And that was part of my struggle. I didn't have any friends. My family didn't open their doors to me. And that's why you hear me say I don't have any family, because I literally don't. The time then I decided I was approached. I had gotten a job. I went back to my ex-husband because I didn't know what else to do. And I figured at least my kids would have a roof over their head, and that was more important to me. So I sacrificed me to keep them safe and have a roof over their head, even though they weren't safe because of my ex-husband being so cray-cray. But me being there and acting like everything was okay, he left my kids alone, and he worked and provided and then I just did everything I needed to do, So it was like a roommate situation. So I had gotten a job, and it was in a home design center, like they design model homes, or interior design, I want to say. And people were just moving to Texas and moving, and I was just like, why are they moving to Texas? Well, yeah, the homes are really cheap, and they got jobs, and some people had families, and they moved. Well, I was approached by a CEO of a company and asked if I would relocate to Houston. And I thought, oh my God, what a great opportunity. Now I can get my own house, because he was offering me a manager position. I was so excited. I was like, yeah, let me think about this. And so I did, and I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll do that. And I did, and I ended up moving to Houston. I bought a house, but no one tells you how the property taxes are 3-4 times more than your mortgage. No one tells you that stuff. And so I didn't know all about that, right? And so yeah, I got my house, and it was cheap, but my mortgage was ginormous. And I was just like, oh no, what am I going to do? Well, I went through it. That job that I had was there for 8 months, and then they ended up selling the company. I got let go, but I did find another job right away, and I stayed there for a little bit. And I didn't get any raises there, although I got more work and congratulations and pat on the back, but no raises. So I had gotten approached for another opportunity, and I went there, and there I became a supervisor, like a payroll supervisor immediately. And well, not immediately, but I guess in 2 months. And got raises and got bonuses, and life was amazing. And I was able to afford the house, and I refinanced it, lowered the payment. But even though I refinanced it and lowered my mortgage wasn't the problem. My mortgage was under $500. It was the taxes, and my taxes was 3 times that amount. So I was just like, wow, so I was paying all this money for taxes. So then I thought, I'm going to get my real estate license, and I did. And I put my house up for sale, and it would sell. And it was the biggest house. I had the biggest house on almost 4,000 square feet on half an acre on the biggest lot in the neighborhood. But nobody was buying it because property tax. And so it took a long while. That was back in 2008 when I tried to sell it. Tried to sell it again in 2011. That didn't happen. And from that point, so from 2011, I've been having issues trying to find, secure a job. Well, actually before that, but I would always find work. So, I'm not saying that was a problem. It was in 2011, my brother passed away, and I decided I wanted to go back to California because, you just never know. And I wanted to be closer to my mom, even though, she was all my family, okay? Even though she wasn't the best mom at that time to me, she was my mom. And that was all I had. And so I thought, I lost my brother, so let me move back. I went back. My cousin had said, hey, you could stay with me. Don't worry about it. My son's in the military. You could take his room. Shortly after we moved in, so it was just my daughter and I, my younger son ended up leaving and going with his dad and wanted to stay with his dad. And so I thought, you know what, he's already like 13 years old. He was already a teenager. I thought, okay, go ahead. No, actually he was older than that because my daughter was in high school. So he's probably 17, 18 already. I thought, go ahead. You know, I need to focus on my daughter. And so we went to stay with her. And I had some money because, you know, I had that one amazing job. And that company sold, by the way. And that's why I ended up leaving that job. And I went to the CFO of that company, got let go, and he got a job. I went there. That company couldn't pay payroll. And that's when I had decided, you know, I don't need this. I really need stability. And so when my cousin said I can stay with her, I thought that was amazing. And that was on my dad's side of the family. And I don't know everybody on my dad's side of the family. And so I thought, okay, great. So I went to go stay with her. And shortly after she said that we had to leave, it was not even 30 days. Well, actually, like a week into it, she asked me if I would rent the place next door to her. And I was like, but I don't have a job. How am I supposed to rent if I don't have a job? Like, I had some money that was getting us by. My daughter and I would like really limit what we ate, and we had bought groceries, and then her son ate all the food like literally in one day. I'm not even lying or over exaggerating. And we were like, my daughter and I had nothing to eat, and we just looked at each other, and I wanted to cry, but I had to stay strong because I had to be strong for her so that she knew that we were going to be okay. I'm trying not to cry, y'all, because it's just like yesterday, right? And so then I ended up getting a temp job, and I went to this temp job, and I was like, yes. So I was there 2 weeks, and they were doing the background check and what have you. And the company was relocating somewhere else, so they weren't going to stay there that long. But then like 2 weeks after I was there, the background hadn't completed. They just wanted me to start right away. So I did. And I was working my tail off and saving that check because I got paid every week. So the second week, Friday, they said, oh, don't report to the company anymore. And I'm like, why? Well, we did a background check, and you're behind on your mortgage. I had just found 1 month behind on my mortgage. And I'm like, okay, but how am I supposed to pay it if you guys won't give me a chance to have a job to pay it? Because I was paying my mortgage in Texas. I still had my house. I was trying to rent the house out. So I had a friend of mine who was also a realtor, go through the applicants and all of that good stuff. And they were going to manage that for me. And then after that, it wasn't even the third week, not even the fourth week. So we were probably in the third week going into the fourth week that my cousin said we had to leave. And I was just like, what are we going to do? We had nowhere to go. We had literally nowhere to go. And so I told my daughter, well, let's just see if I get a job. And I kept applying to agencies and jobs and everything, and nobody was calling me. And then I had a friend of mine that called me from Houston and said, hey, are you looking for a job? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not there, but I can be there if they hire me. And then she's like, okay, well, such and such knows, she had a friend that they needed help. And so they ended up doing a Skype interview with me, and they said, yeah, when can you get back? I said, I'll leave tomorrow. And I did. I packed up my SUV, had a little Pathfinder, a Nissan Pathfinder. It's a 2004, 2005, and headed out there. Went back home, moved back into my house, called the mortgage company and let them know what was going on. And they were like, okay, don't worry about it. They had like this program where they help you. And so they did. I didn't have to pay mortgage for the next 2 months. So that was amazing. So it was almost like a refinance, but I forgot what it was called. HARP. I think it was HARP. And so for 3 months, I didn't have to pay the mortgage, and I got that job. And then that was just, then that position was eliminated, but I found a job right away. And then that's when I had to have emergency surgery. And I think I talked about this before. And I had emergency surgery, and it was in 2014. And I ended up dying twice. And when I got out, I went back to work. And then shortly after, they laid me off. And then here I went with no job for a whole entire year. But I did have a savings this time. And I didn't have much debt, just my mortgage and my car insurance, phone, light, gas, all that. I didn't have much debt. So my daughter is now like 17 years old. She went and got a job at McDonald's. And then she went and got a second job at another little cafe, and she was working her tail off. That little girl, like, I'm truly blessed. Try not to cry. She ended up helping me because, having the mortgage and whatever, and that little bit of savings, I did get unemployment. But then that ran out, and I still couldn't get a job. And it was a whole entire year until I got a job, and that was in California. And then I ended up moving back to California, to LA. And then that's when I ended up, I'm doing a long story short, guys, just so you understand the struggle that I went through, okay? So I ended up moving back to California and was there. I ended up getting married for like 5 months after, 6, yeah. And leaving to go to Chicago, and that was a whole nightmare. I left my job. Actually, I gave them an option that I can work, remotely, because I didn't move right away when I got married. I stayed, and then I left. Like, I gave them a 30, maybe 40-day notice, and then I left. And so when I was in Chicago, I moved there at the end of June of 2016, end of June. And from that time, I was trying to get a job. So I was trying to get a job before I left. And I had a lot of phone interviews, but nothing panned out. And then I was there, nothing panned out. And then my house, I put on the market. It actually sold that year in August. And so I had that money for the backup for bills and stuff, because I had my car payment and insurance and all that. And so that's when my kids ended up moving to Austin because I had an older daughter. I have an older daughter that was already here. So they moved here with her, and then they eventually got their own places. But long story short, I ended up getting sick. I ended up going back to California. All of that. There's videos out there that I talk about that time frame from 2016 up until now, and here I am, no job, unemployment ran out, and then they said that I can reapply December 28th of 2019, and I asked, what am I supposed to do from July of 2019 through December of 2019? What am I supposed to do for income then? Like, seriously? All the jobs I applied to were in Texas, California, Arizona, Colorado, and Las Vegas. Like, I don't even know where else to apply. My background in human resources and in payroll and benefits. And although there's a lot of jobs in California, and I've come close, but nothing's panned through. And I think it's because I'm out here. But I can't afford to go out there. I don't have anybody to go and stay with. I don't even know if we're going to be able to manage, I know we're not going to be able to manage all of the bills. So I'm going to go apply at these retail stores that are close by to the house, so that I have enough money to at least pay my car payment, insurance, cell phone bill, and cable, and my credit cards. I'm just not going to be able to pay. And those are the debt that I accumulated from 2016 to today, because I had to use it for surgeries when I got sick, and I didn't have insurance, and I didn't have a job, and trying to find a place to live and all that stuff. I starved when I moved to Chicago. I'll just tell you really quick, because you probably don't want to look for those videos. I starved. I moved to Chicago, stayed with my in-laws, and I literally starved. I had no food. We moved to the apartment, and I didn't know how much my husband made at the time. I didn't know. I knew he covered the rent, and I was like thinking he should have a whole check to buy groceries and pay bills, but I don't know what he did with his money. And we literally had no food, and I was starving, and I got tired. I grew hungry. I had no more money, had ran out of my savings, not from the sale of the house, because the sale of the house didn't happen until after that. So I was hungry, and that's how I had to use my credit card. So I would go and feed myself lunch while he was at work, and I would feed myself enough to where I would stay full till the next day. And I paid my car payment off that, my bills off that. So I was kind of stealing from Visa to pay MasterCard, to pay American Express, to pay the card, to pay, so that's what I was doing. And that's how my credit cards ended up being the way they are. Then I got an offer from the job that I left to come back and work with them, and I did. So I moved back to California, used that credit card. I applied for an apartment online without even seeing the apartment. I knew the area, but I had not seen the apartment. Applied online, got approved, paid $200 to move in. I used my credit card to do that online. And then when I got there, I left everything in Chicago, and I left. I packed up my stuff and left. And then, again, I had to wait to get paid. So I had to use my card to pay the rent, to buy myself food while I was there and do all that stuff. And so that's how I ended up getting in the debt. And that's why I'm like trying to figure out a way. I don't want to mess up my credit. I tried so hard to keep it. And when you have bad credit, you can't rent anywhere, nor can you get a job. So that's why I figured I'm just going to get retail. And I know a lot of you are out there in the same position, and you're just like feeling stuck in a situation that you just can't get out of, right? I know there's a lot of you out there that are in abusive relationships that you feel stuck and you can't get out because your self-esteem is so low and your confidence is not there to build it up to leave, I understand. I've been there, and I'm in a situation now where I have no job. Unemployment ran out, as I mentioned, and now I'm like relying on my YouTube channel and readings to try and make it. So I have to get these jobs. I'm trying to get these jobs, at the retail, at Hobby Lobby, at Joann's, wherever I can that's close by. Making my jewelry. So here's one of my newest makes using sterling silver. These are products I already have. And there's my little charm, so if you guys are interested in a healing bracelet, let me know. I am going to do a separate video, but I do have a lot of beads, a lot of healing beads, natural healing beads, sterling silver. I could do the elastic. The elastic ones I'm selling for $30, and these ones are $65, starting at $65. It just depends on the bead itself. So, elephant for good luck. I've been wearing this. These beads actually bring prosperity. I don't know the name of the beads off the top of my head, but you will get a description of what the bead is and what they do, okay? So these are supposed to bring prosperity and abundance. And so I thought, yeah, I'm going to start wearing this one. I was wearing my other ones, my other favorite ones. But I decided I'm going to wear this one because I love blue, and these beads are prosperity and abundance, and I'm praying that I get that. So I understand, you guys, when I do the readings and I tell you that I completely understand. I've been through so many struggles. I don't have friends and I don't have family other than my kids today, and that's it. I don't know what else to do. So I'm tapping into my talents and trying to bring that out. I also have I am a certified life coach, and so I use a lot of that motivation in my readings to help you. And I really do hope that I am helping you and motivating you and letting you know you can get out there. You can get away from the situation you're in. Sometimes it may be a relocation, as I've done so many times. And honestly, I never wanted to be in Austin, but it was a survival. I should have had faith. I should have stayed in California when I got laid off and when my husband was let go, because I was already interviewing and I was close to getting a job offer. But you panic, you go into panic mode and survival mode, and you're like, oh, a job, let me go because I have bills that need to be paid. And you leave and you go and you get the job, right? I don't have small kids, so that's why I move around so much. Not that I want to settle in California. That is my home. That's where I feel the most comfortable and more happy. I was very depressed. I never felt depression the way that I did in Chicago and here today. When I was homeless in California before with my 4 kids, I was always happy and smiling. My energy level was so high that no one could tell me that it would get that I would stay stuck, because I would tell them, no, I'm not. I was very optimistic. I fell to the very bottom when I moved to Chicago, and I felt depression for the very first time, and anxiety where I couldn't breathe. And now I have that. I get anxiety and I can't breathe, and I have to, inhale, exhale, meditate. That's when I started to get into meditation and breathing, because I got anxiety and I never had that before. And I thought I was having a heart attack. My brother passed away when he was 43 years old of a heart attack. And he's older than me, but I was just like, what if I'm having a heart attack? I have a fear of dying in my 40s, because my father passed away when he was 45 of a brain aneurysm, and then my brother, of a heart attack. And it scares me, and I have a fear. And I never know what tomorrow holds, but I did die twice in the hospital. And anyways, I never knew depression up until I moved to Chicago in 2016, and depression hit me bad. I was so thin that the skinny jeans looked like regular straight jeans on me. I kid you not. I was so thin. And that's why I knew that I had to feed myself and use my credit cards, and I did. And I tried so hard to pay them down. They're all like maxed out. I have a lot, because I had to get I had to buy myself my own shampoos and soaps and stuff. Imagine that. And I'm still married to him, and he's providing. But that's another thing I want to talk about, how you become homeless, because I was there. And there's so many homeless here in Austin that I see new people out there. And it's just like, there's no jobs. And if there are, you're not going to be considered if you're not friends of somebody. And that's pretty sad, because if you're qualified, why can't you get that job? If I did not have my husband, and if I did not have my kids, I would be homeless by myself today. Now, granted, I don't have an employment coming in anymore. So I have no income coming in. And I don't know what we're going to do. My husband's keeping the roof over our head till November. That's when our lease is up. And I think we're just going to pack things up in a storage. And I don't know what our plan is, honestly. I don't know what we're going to do. So unless a miracle happens, which that can possibly happen, either my channel grows bigger and I get more subscribers and more viewers, and my income through YouTube grows tremendously, that I can afford to at least make what I was making on unemployment, then that would be great. If I receive more readings or more donations, or if you buy my jewelry, there's a lot of things I'm tapping into my talents and using to, I sew, I make bags, and I make quilts and clothing and all of that stuff. But right now I'm really focused on my channel. I love what I'm doing. I love coaching. And if I can get more clients coaching, then awesome. I will do that. And if I could just make enough that I was making on unemployment, then I would be okay. I'll still struggle, but at least I can get some bills paid. And that was my objective, right? Well, this video is becoming a little bit longer than I thought it would, and I really didn't want it to be this long, but I did want to share this with you. So if you're out there and you are struggling, tap into your other talents that you have, and see if that's one way that you can make money on the side with. Maybe you do have friends and you have family that will help you. I don't have either, other than my kids and my husband. I don't have friends. So I'm pretty much by myself, and because I don't rely on my kids, and I don't rely on my husband because of what we got through. We've been married 3.5 years. A little over 3 years, but it's not someone I can depend on. He's a Leo, and I talked about him in some reading. I'm just grateful that he's able to put a roof over my head. And if he just buys bread and peanut butter and jelly, I'm happy about that too, and some water. I'm good. I don't require a whole lot. I do, as I mentioned, I color my own hair. When I was working, I bought a lot of the colors at Sally's. And when they had that buy one, get one free, I went and, stocked up, and I do color my own hair, and I do my own nails. You know, I don't go to the salon. I don't go to the nail salon. I don't get pedicures. I do them all myself. I do everything myself. Making my clothes. If I want something, you know, I have fabric and I use my fabric. Now, when that runs out, then that runs out. But, yeah. So that is my life today, guys. And I'm hoping that we can afford this cable bill, because honestly, out here in Austin, it's ridiculous. Our cable bill is $200, and that's just cable and internet. And we're trying to cut the cable out and just get internet. But I have to wait till the contract ends. And when that contract ends, I think it's next month, we're going to cut the cable out and just have internet. And see if we can afford that so I can continue to do my videos. Other than that, I don't know what else to do. So if you're going through this, hang in there. You know, let's motivate each other. Let's lift each other up. That is what this channel is all about. You know, I know I do my readings on here, but it's all about lifting each other up. And as you see, I've got my crystals out, my singing bowl. I come and I meditate. I do my singing bowl. The crystals make me feel so calm. If you don't have any, you may want to get some, but be careful where you get them from, because some people claim to have real crystals and they're not. So, you know, be careful where you get them. Anyways, again, thank you so much for joining me with, you know, talking to me, listening to me while I chit chat with you. I appreciate it. And, you know, hopefully I'll be able to go live soon, and, we'll do some live readings. All right. Thanks again. And please like and share, subscribe, to my channel. Help me grow my channel. And, if you have a channel, I will go and subscribe to you as well. Thank you.